Let me take a break from listening to Whitney Houston tonight to produce a video for you guys on something that's been going on for a little while, though I'm sure there are many of you who haven't seen it at all. And this is a short story style thing ArenaNet have been uploading to their Flickr account. So over the second half of last year, they started going back to lore blogs, if you guys remember, and I was reading the short stories out, usually with some probably unnecessary criticism at the end, and they seem to have gone back to doing that now, except they're releasing it with images on their Flickr account rather than pieces that can be found just on the general news, which actually now means the stories they're doing are even harder to find than they were just when they were on the official website. But I will do my best to keep you guys in the loop with this stuff coming out. The first story came out over 5 separate chapters or so. It's now complete, and I'll be reading the full thing out to you guys now. And also in the background, there should be plenty of screenshots that were actually put up on Flickr with these pieces of story too. So what you should be seeing right now is a map of the attack strategies put in place by the Pact, I suppose. This is basically telling the story of all things Lion's Arch around the attack. This is pretty cool, honestly, seeing all these different ideas for assault forces, Operation Detox, the Hammer Anvil. Interesting that it tells an angle or a perspective of the invasion that we never even saw in-game, and obviously they can't implement everything, so I actually quite like this. It's an opportunity for them to give us a little bit of insight into more things that happened during the attack we may not have seen at first. So anyway, they first released this image, and many more were to follow. First of all, they just gave us a big picture of Scarlet's airship with the word tomorrow with it. And then after that, we got the first piece called The Arch or Nothing. So let's jump straight into it. Oh, and it feels good to be back doing this. I was so sad when we ran out of stories. Alright, The Arch or Nothing. As they gather at the Gendaran Field's entrance to Lion's Arch, a recent recruit to the 14th Lion Guard security force shows me a tattoo popular with the group. The words on his skin capture their goal now. The Arch or Nothing. Today, the 14th will attempt to be the first squadron to establish a foothold in the battered, occupied Lion's Arch. Their mission is simple yet dire. Breach the city and hold the Traders' Forum until reinforcements arrive, whenever that will be. Given how Scarlet's forces are entrenched in the city, Lion Guard Command does not expect the 14th to last through the night. Despite this, they volunteered to be the first in. Some of the 14th are fresh to combat, others breathe hard with miasma-scarred lungs. Beneath their injuries is wounded pride. This city is their home, one now in enemy hands. It haunts them as they tell me about the loved ones they lost during the invasion. But now, they look to enter Lion's Arch and avenge everything taken from them by Scarlet. And it's signed by Scholar Ella McKay, embedded with the 14th Lion Guard security force, and then it's got after that written Mariners Fight in quotes. Interestingly enough, the woman who's writing this, Scholar Ella McKay, is a character you can meet in-game. She's an NPC. I believe she was first introduced to us during the Tower of Nightmares arc, and she was around in Kessex Hills for a long time. But now she's out in Gendaran Fields. She's at the Cornucopian Fields waypoint just outside of Lion's Arch, and you can speak to her. She's a member of the Dermot Priory, I guess documenting everything that's going on with this fight, and you can speak with her, which is pretty cool. Actually, to amend that, looking at the wiki, apparently she was first introduced when the Molten Alliance attacked, and she's basically been quite active in the living story the entire time, and now I feel bad that I don't recognise her name. But yeah, she had loads to do with the assassination of Theo Ashford. She was there with the Zephyrite patch, and then of course with the more recent stuff to do with Scarlet. That's actually very interesting. And now of course she's writing this recount of the Battle of LA. Anyway, that was number 1. I will jump straight on to number 2 so we don't get pulled too far out of the story too quickly. The second one is called Waiting for Reinforcements. You smell Lion's Arch before you see what's happened to it. There's a sickly sweet odour of rotting corpses mixed with a stinging snap of gunpowder. It's a change from the choking, lethal veil of Scarlet's miasma, now drifted out to the sea. By noon, the first shots rang out. The 14th Lion Guard security force engaged Aetherblade squads for control over Traders' Forum. Lieutenant Honeclaw led the charge, pushing Aetherblades back with bursts from her flamethrower. The fighting lasted most of the day. The 14th holds the Forum, but Honeclaw has been quick to stop her troops from calling this a victory. Now the 14th is waiting for reinforcements for the enemy's next move. They know Scarlet will not give up an inch of Lion's Arch without a fight. In the distance there is the sound of combat and an acrid blue steel cloud of smoke. Scholar Ella McKay, embedded with the 14th Lion Guard security force, Mariners fight. Pretty interesting, actually. It reads a little bit like a news report. Okay. That character as well, Lieutenant Honeclaw, I don't believe, at least it's not giving me anything on the wiki, that this is a real character. But Honeclaw is a very Tengu-ish name. I wonder whether that's on purpose or not, but that would be pretty interesting if this was a Tengu that was participating in the Lion's Arch fight. The next chapter is called The Attack Came Early. The attack came before the 14th could set up a defensive perimeter. Under the cover of dusk, Aetherblade reinforcements flanked the 14th on several sides and assaulted them with alternating sniper fire and frontal attacks. Lieutenant Honeclaw and her soldiers scrambled to establish a circle defense. They deployed turrets as a front line followed by a living ring of shields and swords to protect the 14th's sharpshooters. Aetherblade flanking tactics blocked any chance for escape. Some of the 14th panicked and ran during the chaos, only to be skewered by enemy blades. The 14th is rapidly losing soldiers and morale. The enemy is numerous. Night is falling. Scholar Ella McKay embedded with the 14th Line Guard Security Force. Mariners fight. To continue on, they released a 4th image titled A Beast Covered in Cogs. This is 4 of 5. We saw him at dawn, just as Honeclaw ordered what was left of the 14th into position around the trading forum's wreckage. He was a beast of a human, dressed in blue and covered in brass cogs. He commanded his Aetherblades to stand down and demanded our surrender. Honeclaw cussed back something not suitable for historical record. In return, the enemy readied their rifles to shoot all of us down. Without a word, Honeclaw leapt from cover with her flamethrower pack turned around to her chest. She fired madly into the Aetherblades while charging their ranks. The last I saw of Honeclaw, she fired her pistol into her fuel canister, sparking an inferno that engulfed her and the enemy. The explosion emboldened what was left of the 14th to renewed fury. In moments, the enemy was broken and bleeding. After securing the forum, the 14th found Honeclaw's remains and wrapped them in a Line Guard cloak. Scholar Ella McKay embedded with the 14th Line Guard Security Force. The final chapter of this little story that ArenaNet put out for us is called Last Stand at the Traders Forum. And it reads, Morning. Despite massive losses, the 14th still holds Traders Forum. With Honeclaw's death, the mood is subdued but determined. In these tense, quiet moments, the 14th builds ad hoc barriers out of Aetherblade bodies to give their few remaining sharpshooters cover. This gruesome sight greets a stream of fresh reinforcements entering Lion's Arch. Because of the 14th, countless Line Guard and volunteers can now move into the city and take this battle to Scarlet. The 14th will not acknowledge their triumph. They stay focused, watching the perimeter. Even though it's not said, they now wait for the words every Line Guard aches to hear. Scarlet is dead. Scholar Ella McKay embedded with the 14th Line Guard Security Force. So there you go, that's like another perspective of the fight, and I guess it's kind of interesting to see the story of grunts, you know, these NPCs who are obviously always wandering around. We're the heroes, we go and get to do everything, we're the ones that manage to kill Scarlet by our hand. But, you know, there are these stories of many other characters, and I do quite like this because it broadens the perspective. If there aren't stories and things like this going on and they can't implement them in game for us, it can make a lot of the Living World stuff feel very narrow. Like, we've seen what happened in the Living World and we know everything there is to know. But you add stuff like this and it does tap into that little bit of your imagination, at least for me anyway, where you can get a feel for a much larger world and that there's a lot more going on than just the raw NPC dialogue you are given in a patch. And for that, I quite enjoy this. I like that they've got back to releasing little short stories. This is, I think, with all 5 pieces together, maybe the length of a very short one from the old blog post things. But, you know, if this is the kind of thing that they want to start putting out, then I'll be really, really happy to share it with you guys. Here's hoping they put out some more. And let me know what you think. It was a cool little lore thing for me to go to, at least for now. And I guess I will see you guys again tomorrow for another Guild Wars 2 video. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a good evening, and I'll see you next time.